let's talk about something every manager knows. That feeling when you walk onto the production floor and suddenly everyone's working at 110%. But the moment you leave, it feels like the energy just fizzles out. It's a super common frustration, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on this productivity illusion and figure out why what you see isn't always what you get.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the problem, what we call the manager's dilemma. Then we'll dig into the productivity illusion it causes. After that, we'll look at the search for clarity, how we can see beyond our own eyes, and finally, wrap up with the real power of good, clean data.
All right, let's dive right in with a feeling I bet is familiar to a lot of you out there. It's the classic manager's dilemma.
This quote, wow, it just nails it, doesn't it? It's that nagging thought in the back of your head that your physical presence is the only thing keeping the whole operation from grinding to a halt. 1 minute, things are humming. The next, you're gone and it feels like the pace just completely drops off. So seriously, does this ring a bell? Have you ever felt like you're a human battery pack for your team, and the moment you unplug, everything just powers down? It's an incredibly common feeling, and frankly, it is exhausting. And get this, here's where it gets really interesting. Studies show that a manager just being there, not saying a word, just observing, can boost results by at least 10%. So you might be thinking, great, I'll just stand there all day. Well, not so fast, because that 10%, it's not what you think it is. That little 10% boost, that leads us straight into our next big idea, the productivity illusion. This is where we break down the huge gap between what you think you're seeing and what's actually going on. It all comes down to a really basic rule of human nature. People adapt. When we know we're being watched, we change our behavior. You could call it the as you measure, so I work rule. It's not about being sneaky, it's just what we do. Think about it like this. You've got two different realities. On one side, when the manager's around, people are often putting on a bit of a show. You know, they want to look busy, make a good impression. But on the other side, when the manager's gone, people naturally shift back to their default setting. And that default setting is what we're calling their natural work mode. This is so important. This is their true baseline performance when the pressure is off. This is the reality of your production floor, not that temporary 10% bump you see when you're standing over their shoulder. You see how this all connects? It builds up that frustrating illusion we started with, the belief that if you're not there watching, nothing important is happening. But this isn't a problem with your people, it's a problem with the information you're getting. And that's exactly what pushes managers to find a better way. So once you realize you're stuck in this illusion, what's the next logical step? Well, you start asking for some real answers, which brings us to our third section, a request for clarity. This is the wish list, right? This is what managers really want. They don't just want a single photo. They want to see the whole movie. They need a continuous historical view of what's happening. The goal isn't about micromanaging. It's about having real, fact-based conversations about performance. So the mission becomes crystal clear. Find a way to get data that tells the real story. We're talking about automated data that can't be fudged, not like those old manual timesheets. We need the objective truth. And that search for the truth brings us to the solution. It's about using technology to finally move beyond what our own two eyes can see. So just imagine having a system that acts like your production eyes. It's an observer that's always on, always impartial, and it's capturing what's really happening, even when you're stuck in a meeting on the other side of the building. And these production eyes, they see the things we almost always miss. We're not talking about huge equipment failures, no. We're talking about the tiny stuff that adds up, those little micro downtimes, less than a minute each, or a slight drop in pace that you would never, ever notice just walking by. And this is where that data becomes a superpower. You can actually objectively compare how different people work at the exact same station. So here you can clearly see employee A is way more stable than employee B, even beating the team average. It's no longer about who looks the busiest, it's about who is actually the most consistent. You could never get that insight just by watching. Okay, let's bring it all home in our final section and talk about the real transformative power of all this data. At the end of the day, this is the entire story right here. It's a fundamental shift from managing based on gut feelings and what you think you see to leading with the absolute clarity of objective reality. The big takeaway is simple, but it's massive. When you can see the real situation, you can finally respond in a way that actually works. You can have productive conversations, fix the real problems, and reward the people who are truly performing, not just the ones who are good at looking busy. So I'll leave you with this to think about. In your world, whatever you do, what are the invisible little hiccups and disruptions that are secretly shaping your results? What could you unlock if you could finally see beyond the illusion?